STEM acronym for science, technology, engineering, and math-related fields. My guest this morning is a woman, first of all, and then she's a software developer. Regina Honu is a Blizzcon Ambassador. She's a CEO for Stereotyping Solutions. You're welcome, Auntie Regina.
Thank you.
You look amazing in your Blizzcon.
Thank you.
So Blizzcon Ambassador, huh?
Yes.
How did that happen?
So I got a call.
Just like that?
Yes. And it was out of the blue. So Blizzcon sort of looks out for women doing amazing things. And I was really humbled to get the call. And I was... because I'm so excited about the brand, because Blizzcon is all about, empowering women and doing it in style.
Yes.
So I am very proud to be the Blizzcon Ambassador. And it's the 170th anniversary. So that's really amazing. 170 years of just amazing things.
Wow. Anyway, but as well, you're a software developer. And for a woman, this is my first question. What informed your choice of career?
So
was it accidental?
Actually,
or very much planned.
No, I mean, when I was a kid, the typical roles that you're supposed to be, like doctor, lawyer.
Yes.
I was told you go and be a doctor, but there was it just wasn't for me. And then my father brought home a computer, and I played this game called Pac-Man. So there's this yellow ball that eats the white ball.
Yes. And
I wanted to change the game. So from there, I was like, the only way I can do that is to learn computer science. So that's how I started. I wanted to make my own Pac-Man.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, look at you today. All right. So what do you do at Stereotyping Solutions?
So Stereotyping Solutions, there's two things. So first, there's a software company. We build software for small and medium-scale enterprises. And then we have a non-for-profit where we teach girls from 6 to 18 how to code and create technology. Yeah. So we've been running the Tech Needs Girls program for 3 years now. We've done over 3,500 girls in 8 regions.
Fantastic.
And we've expanded to Burkina Faso. But the best thing is now we've actually started a school. So we started Shonko Academy, where we teach girls and boys how to code, about presentation, entrepreneurship, how to start tech companies, how to build mobile applications. So we're really excited about that.
We all know how, generally in the field of work, there's such a major gender disparity. In fact, even in the professional culinary world, where you would expect women to be at the top, it's not so. We find that the world's top, executive chefs are men. But I'm wondering how you cope in a world like this, in an industry where it's so steeped in male influence.
It's what motivates me to keep going, because there's a lot of stereotyping, sexism. You'll get that, and it's very lonely. There are just a few women. I mean, in my career, when I worked for others, I was the only female in the IT department. I was passed on promotions. I was discriminated against. It's a hurdle, and the more women that enter, you have some of them that leave because of all these different challenges. So it's really important that, we come together and encourage more women, because we need the female perspective in the technology that's being created.
I am very surprised, because I thought that the IT industry was one that operated or does operate as a meritocracy, so that employees who, have consistent results and progress actually receive favorable treatment regardless of gender or background. But I'm surprised there's still this bias in the industry.
Yeah, there's definitely the bias. There's the glass ceiling that everybody talks about. But the challenge is...
sticky floors.
Exactly. The challenge is you're never what is expected. Every time I introduce myself as a software developer, I get what I call the 5-second shock reaction. Because they're like, what?
Okay, first of all, she's a woman.
Exactly.
Second, she's
exactly.
pretty petite.
Yeah, and there's the stereotype. You have to be nerdy. You have to be socially awkward. You have to, be like a geek. And that's not true. You can be anything and be be in technology.
Yeah. All right. So what can we say about Ghana? We do know that there's some statistics in the US that suggest that about 40% of women, in fact, who earn a degree in some STEM-related field, do not enter into that career, or when they do, within 5 years, they drop out.
Exactly.
Do we have statistics to indicate, the...
Unfortunately, it's really hard to get hard data, because nobody's really doing research and tracking that. I mean, that's one of the things that we have to focus on.
Yeah.
I know a lot of African leaders have advocated for data. Data not just only in that field, but in different fields. So we know, are we doing well? Are we not doing well? How comparable are we to the rest of the world? So I think it would be important to have that information. So now what we do is we rely on stats from other parts of the world and sort of just generalize, but what we do is we're documenting and measuring a lot of the work that we are doing, and hopefully we can collaborate with other stakeholders and come up with some data to show that this is the exact problem, this is how far we've come, this is how far we need to go. So it's really important that we get that data, and I'm hoping that at least with some of the data that we've collected, we can, you know, join with other people and bring it all together so we can paint a bigger national picture.
Yes, but I'm very sure you're aware that over the past 3 decades or so, we've seen, you know, the numbers dwindle. Women in technology-related fields have, you know, come down drastically. Do you know what reasons account for this, especially in this part of the world?
Well, you know, in this part of the world, if you're going to join a boys' club, you know, it's very difficult. And if you don't get support, you know, you have a lot of negative stereotyping from everywhere where people tell you, oh, women that go into technology don't find husbands, they don't become mothers. I've heard that. You know, exactly. Or, I mean, they are just too ambitious or too aggressive, or they are not as good as the male counterparts, you know. So all of that, you know, sometimes can get heavy on a woman who's probably the only one, you know, and she may decide, look, I'm not getting the support that I need. Why do I continue? And you know, in this part of the world where people pay for tangible, so for example, software is an intangible. If I tell you that I'm building you a mobile application and I'm going to charge 1,000, you're like, 1,000 for what?
For what?
I can't see it. Exactly. But if I tell you I'm charging you 1,000 for a bag, you can feel the bag and say, oh, this is leather or this is that. So sometimes with the pricing models, you know, and things like that, you know, it's very difficult to really explain. And because technology literacy is still up and coming, some people don't understand the value of technology, why they need to use technology, and why they need to pay for it. And the last thing is our competition is not even local. We're competing with companies from all over the world. So it makes it very difficult if we don't get the needed support in the tech space to really help us, you know, push and, you know, be a giant or create a brand like Kenya has done.
You know, it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I realized that this issue really steeped so low, and perhaps we could also attribute it to a matter of early exposure to technology for children especially, because my godson at the time was 3 years old and he could navigate his iPad better than I could mine. And so it drew my attention to the fact that, well, children in Japan, in the US, in China have early exposure to technology, whereas we can't say same here. Now that means that this gap we're talking about is almost certainly unbridgeable.
Exactly. I mean, it's a millennial generation, and young children are getting access to technology early. They're figuring it out.
We're not producing millennials here.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same old story. Ghana is always playing catch up with the rest of the world. Africa is playing catch up with the rest of the world. I mean, technology can really help us leapfrog our infrastructure challenges, you know, so that we can, you know, play catch up quickly. So I think it's important, because if you, for most of the times when we go around and you ask little children, especially the girls, who is a software developer, they've never heard of it, they don't know what that is, you know, it's not even an option for them, you know. So the exposure has to start early, because young minds are very creative, and you have to start like sort of implanting that creativity and harnessing it. Here, because of our educational system, it's just chew and pour, you know, memorize, pass and forget. You know, so we are not, you know, sort of activating the innovation and creative thinking in young children. So when they reach university, don't expect them to build something amazing, you know. It starts early. You know, you have to start early. You have to really sort of get kids engaged, you know, and thinking creatively.
I think what you're doing is just phenomenal. You know, this is a challenge faced by a lot of nations. I remember early this year, sometime in February, something similar, you know, conference of sorts was organized in London. It was a hashtag, be a modern news, hashtag women do tech. But basically this had about 600 or so professional women in IT come together to celebrate in creative force to, I suppose, create more opportunities and possibilities for women in IT. I want to know what level of synergy, you know, there is amongst women in IT in Ghana.
So, I mean, there are a couple of groups that I actually belong to. I mean, the challenge is most of the women, or some of the women, are kind of quiet doing their own thing, and some of them are out there. For those of us that are out there, you know, we have sort of collaborated. I've collaborated with other women to do different projects. So yes, I mean, we do understand that we have to band together. And for our program, we have mentors who are women in tech, and they all understand that the challenges, so they volunteer their time to teach the young girls. So it's I think there are lots of synergies, and we are understanding that we need to come together. We can't do this, you know, in silos. It's not going to work like that.
Absolutely not. So I see here there's the style with code.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us about it. It's called a movement, in
Yeah,
fact.
exactly. I believe in movements because movements activate change. So as the Blizzcon Ambassador, I have two main roles. The first one is to go around telling young kids that their dreams can come true. I'm a living testimony to the fact that dream big and your dreams can come true.
Right.
And the second one, is to encourage girls that you can mix fashion and technology. So I'm using fashion as a vehicle to reach out to more girls, to connect them with technology.
I was trying to do the correlation, so there's actually a reconciliation between the two.
Exactly, yeah. So the Style with Code initiative is to teach, young girls and guys that, you can be stylish, you can use fashion and technology. Now there's wearable tech. So we actually started a roadshow where we were going around, talking about fashion and technology. And fashion is a great introduction to show young girls and guys that, you can still be fashionable and do technology.
Yes. And I think beyond this, it's not just encouraging more women in tech-related fields, but to show them the impact of a technology background on their chosen professions, and the economic potential.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every job has a digital component, So we're not saying that everybody in our program is going to be a developer or going to end up being like settling in the tech creation space.
Yes.
But if you become a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a journalist, whatever it is that you become, you need some type of technology, and it gives you an added advantage. So all the kids in our program, are different because they have something extra.
Yes, I mean, besides today, technology is woven into everything, the very fabric of life. You can't talk about anything and not have technology as an active ingredient. I mean, here we are with the table mics. So I think the women can't afford to lag behind any longer.
Definitely
yes.
not.
Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Regina Honu, your software. She is a software developer. She's also Blizzcon Ambassador, CEO of Stereotyping Solutions. And good job.
Thank you.